Hi everyone, Matthew Donovan here with another double set of videos. I'm going to be doing July and August of 2018 today. I've been incredibly busy these past 2 months. The same, I suppose, is the theme for the entire year. But I'm just going to start with this. It's the reason I've been busy, and it doesn't fit into any of my resolutions, which is as of the beginning of July, I actually filed my nomination for school board trustee for the Waterloo Region District School Board here in Waterloo. Now I'll be on the ballot in both Waterloo and Wilmot. The entire school board has 11 trustees representing Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, as well as Wilmot, Wellesley, and Woolwich, but they're broken up so that people can be elected specifically from Cambridge, specifically from Kitchener, specifically from Wellesley and Woolwich, and then 3 people are elected from Waterloo and Wilmot. So I'll be on the ballot there, and that's really what I've been the most occupied with over the past 2 months, and it's what I will be occupied with up until October 22nd of this year. That's when the election is, and all of this will finally be over one way or the other. That's when the election is. But yeah, I've been quite busy working on all my material myself, designing brochures, putting together lawn sign designs, business cards, building a website, putting together all these videos that I've been doing, going out filming the videos. All of this, it's been incredibly busy, but incredibly rewarding, and an incredibly rewarding experience so far, and I suspect it will continue to be so during the next roughly 2 months is what we have at this point. But that's been the biggest thing I've been occupied with. It's, as I said, not one of my resolutions, although perhaps it would fit under the involvement section, the one right at the end. But anyways, for more information about that, I'm not going to rattle too much or ramble too much about that. More information, you can go to matthewd4trustee.ca. The videos are there, all the information, the key issues, steps I'll take, everything's on the website there. I want to focus here on personal resolutions, personal goals, personal progress, all of that. Another thought that I had very recently, and I think it was something I read online. I forget the title of the book, but I have saved it, and I do plan to buy it at some point. I think it's called The 12-Week Year. Let me do a quick Google and just see if that is correct. It is. So there's a book called The 12-Week Year, which I haven't purchased yet, but I do plan to purchase. That's the first step, I suppose, is obtaining the book. And the next step, as we'll soon see, is reading the books, which I do seem to have issues with right now, just given the time or lack of time that I seem to have. But again, not having read the book, the general premise, I believe, of the book is really focusing on breaking things down into 12 weeks. 12 weeks is a much more actionable time frame. Much more can be done in 12 weeks as opposed to a whole year. And that's something that I see myself with these resolutions. I've got them open here on the screen. Looking at some of them, co-op, for example. That's not an incredibly relevant thing for me right now. I had my one co-op January to April, and yes, I still continue to work part-time for Sun Life in a limited capacity, but there's not a lot on that front. And my next co-op isn't until next summer of 2019. So not a lot of value in having co-op and continually thinking and talking about co-op when I put these videos together. Same thing with exercise, for example. Exercise is something that's been on the list, and I actually got an interesting email I want to talk about relating to exercise that I received during the month of July. But it's not something that I've really been doing or putting a lot of power or weight behind this year. So instead of having it on there every single month and just dragging it along, it would be better to simply every 12 weeks reiterate, or every 3 months or 4 months, whatever time frame is decided. I think the 12-week year talks about 12 weeks and then a week off, a week of rest, which puts you at 13, and then you can do that 4 times in the year, I think is how it works. But again, I haven't read the book. But that was my thought, was I think it's something I'm going to keep these 2018 resolutions here as they are for 2018. But starting in 2019, what I'm going to do is 3 sets of resolutions, so a new set every 4 months, in order to that'll align with the semesters at school. It'll make things much more actionable and will allow me to be much more focused. Things like exercise, for example, that I just keep dragging along, I've got to decide, is it on the list? And if it is, it's got to happen, or it's off the list. So I think that's one of the values and things that would be incredibly powerful with shortening the time frames. That's something I'll be doing in the upcoming year. On the language front, so I was focusing on Italian and Hungarian. These are the two languages that I'll be using in September, just a few weeks actually from now. I'll be in Hungary for a competition representing Laurier again in another competition, so Hungarian for that. And then Italian because we'll be spending a couple of days in Rome prior to arriving in Budapest. My family's Italian, my grandmother speaks Italian. I have connections to the country and to the language. I always love to be able to speak it, so putting some effort behind it and finally dedicating some time to that. That being said, this election, running for school board trustee, has taken up an incredible amount of my time, so I haven't been able to put a ton of resources towards that. I am doing a little bit. Italian primarily is my focus. I have a lot more foundation as opposed to Hungarian, where it's pretty well starting from scratch, but still both of those are important, and we'll see where they go, but not a lot during the month of July. It was very slow progress. I did have a little bit more in August, and I'll talk about that in the next video. Also, so on the reading front, very little progress. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of reading of academic journals, papers, research articles, that type of thing, mainly for our case practice, but I haven't sat down to read any novels, which is something I'd like to change. And I want to pull up this email here. Let me see if I can find it. Because I received this email in July, and when I received it, I said, this is exactly what I'm going through. So the title of the email is called, I Gotta Get My Fitness Stuff Sorted Out Sometime Soon. I'm just going to pull it over here. It says, this is a quote from one of my buddies who's super successful. He runs his own business, he has a bunch of employees, he travels whenever he wants, but he cannot figure out his fitness. In a dozen talks over the last year, he's given me that statement at least a half a dozen times. If it's just a matter of enthusiasm, he's pretty enthusiastic about life. So why can't he get this area of his life together? He's got everything else together. Why can't he get fitness sorted out? And I saw that and I said, this is exactly me. I've been saying right here to this camera every single month, all of 2018, and I think it was in 2017 as well, as a resolution, I want to be more active. I want to do more exercise, and I never do. And I think it's because a lack of motivation, a lack of stakes. If I don't do this, there's nothing really critical. So I'm recognizing that. I saw this email and I wanted to save it to really say, this is something I'm dealing with. But at this time, and this is why I think it's better to have shorter frame goals, there's more important things, or there are more important things going on for me, in my belief, than doing exercise. So that's why it keeps falling to the bottom and it's not being done. On the co-op front, again, nothing going on here. As I talked about, I'm still doing some work for Sun Life. And finally, in terms of involvement, the biggest thing during the month of July was really working on practicing for Budapest, for our case competition that we'll be going to in the middle of September. So really practicing for that every week, every other week. We have practices and much longer practices. 10 hours, 4 hours, and 10 hours will be the two cases that we'll be doing. So we want to do some 10-hour practices, which obviously, it's 10 hours to practice plus an hour and a half sometimes to present and receive feedback. So really it's a 12, 13-hour day just in the practice, and that really is for the most part all that can be done in that day. So there's a lot that's been going on. I've been quite busy, primarily with the election, but I think I'm making progress on all these fronts. But as I said right at the start, I think having these year-long goals, they're not necessarily tailored to where I'm at right now and what I want to be doing right now. So that's something I will be changing in 2019. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.